the previous video, we identified 6 key challenges in the cleaning of stormwater attenuation tanks. These being health and safety costs associated with manual cleaning, operating any automated system in a harsh environment, the often poor water quality that we get on these sites, available on these sites, the cost of water and how to minimize that, retrofitting problems, so if we're fitting cleaning systems to existing tanks, problems with retrofitting, tank modification, and then general challenges about cleaning very large tank. Now this video compares how our StormBlaster system compares to the tipping bucket system, which is another automated way of cleaning large tanks, and how both of those systems meet each of these 6 challenges. So first of all, a quick overview of the systems. Now tipping buckets basically consist of very large buckets of liquid, of water, that are then tipped into the tank when it's empty, and this creates a wave of liquid rushing down the tank which cleans away the residue. Our StormBlaster system is completely different to this. The StormBlaster is a rotary jet cleaning system that uses tried and tested technology originally developed for the marine oil tanker cleaning industry. Water is delivered to the cleaning head at around 8 to 10 bar pressure ideally, and that causes the head to rotate, and the jet that comes out of the cleaning head rotates on 2 axes so that it is brought to bear on each part of the tank beneath it over a set cleaning cycle. Now we've refined and modified the standard marine tank cleaning system to meet the specific needs of the water industry. Now, initial trials of the StormBlaster were carried out over 8 years ago now with 2 of the large water companies in the UK, and over the last 8 years or so we now have over 130 units installed across the UK, Ireland and France cleaning storm tanks. How do these 2 systems meet the 6 challenges we identified in the previous video? So first, health and safety costs. Well, both are automated systems, so health and safety costs are really only associated with man entry, so they both meet this challenge very, very well. So the rest of this video is really concentrating on the other 5 elements and how each system matches up. So first of all, let's look at harsh environments. In the previous video, we identified that these are on water treatment sites. They're exposed to the elements. They're not in some nice, warm, cozy factory, so we need robust systems for both. Now, tipping bucket systems are obviously designed to be robust and meet those requirements, as are the StormBlaster systems. So with the StormBlaster, we have no external power sources required. It's entirely fluid driven, so we just need a pumped fluid supplied to the system and it will work, so there's not a lot to go wrong in it. It's an incredibly robust design. The unit was originally designed to withstand marine environments. So if you imagine this tank cleaner would sit inside an oil tanker for many months at a time whilst it's at sea, and then be used to clean the tank once the tank had been emptied. So it's perfectly at home sitting in a remote site exposed to the elements all year round. So they're both good for this. Both tipping buckets and StormBlasters are both designed to withstand this harsh environment. What about water quality? Well, it should be fairly obvious why a tipping bucket system, you don't really have to worry too much about the water quality. There's not a lot to get blocked up in there. It's a big bucket of water, and it doesn't matter if that water's dirty. Okay, so the tipping bucket system will work very well with non-potable water, and final effluent is generally the quality of water that is used to clean storm tanks. So will the StormBlaster. And the StormBlaster differs from other rotary jet cleaners. The gears within will be lubricated by the wash water that's being driven through them. What this tends to cause, if you've got poor quality water in, say, a hygienic rotary jet cleaner used in the food industry, what will happen there is it will start to gum up and it won't work. The gears will get gummed up, and so it needs highly filtered, high quality, potable, hygienic water. StormBlaster is completely different for this. It was designed to be run on oil muds. So you would recirculate the sludge at the bottom of an oil tanker that contained high amounts of particulate. This would be used as the wash fluid that we've used through the StormBlaster system. So it can cope with high particle content. And the reason for this is unlike most other rotary jet cleaners, its gears inside in a sealed gearbox. So they don't come in contact with the wash fluid at all. The turbine drives the gears are all sealed within it, and it never comes in contact with the wash water, so it can work with high particulate containing wash fluid and will work exceptionally well with final effluent, which is generally what we've used to clean storm tanks. Both systems, tipping bucket and StormBlaster, will work very well with poor quality water. What about water saving? Water saving, even if it's final effluent, we want to use as little as we can of it because it's basically wasting treated water. And the StormBlaster will win hands down on this compared to a tipping bucket. StormBlaster is by far the most efficient way to tank clean. Rotary jet cleaners in general are the most efficient way to clean any tank, be it in a storm tank or an oil tanker or a food tank or whatever. They can be up to 90% more efficient than any other system of tank cleaning. So the StormBlaster will use far less wash water than the tipping bucket system, and it will achieve better results. The reason for this is it uses impingement cleaning. Those jets are basically brought to bear on each part of the tank wall and the tank floor, and it will blast off all of that residue in a really efficient way using the mechanical action of the jets that are generated. They use far less water than the tipping bucket system. Moving on to the retrofit problems. Again, the StormBlaster will win hands down here. The tipping bucket systems, if they are being retrofitted to existing tanks, and if those tanks haven't been designed with the tipping bucket system in mind, will probably need to be modified in some way. If they're very large, there'll be channels putting into them to direct the flow of the water. They may not have sufficient gradient for it to drain quickly enough, and so you kind of get backwash and the residue would be redeposited. So there may need to be some significant modification of the tank in order to make that system work effectively. StormBlasters, generally speaking, you won't need to modify the tank design that much. We've had them installed in very shallow draining tanks with the 1% drain gradient on them that work perfectly fine in there. It's a repeatable system, so if you do get some problems with redepositing, you can just recirculate more water through it and have another couple of cleaning cycles to make sure the tank gets effectively cleaned. Generally speaking, you won't need so much retrofitting or modification of the tank. Modification of the tank won't be required for the StormBlaster system when compared to tipping buckets. Finally, when we look at challenges of cleaning very large tanks, again, the StormBlasters will win hands down here. StormBlaster, we have a range of nozzles of various different sizes that can produce cleaning jets up to 25 meters in length. Now, often for very large tanks, we'll recommend that we use 2, 3, 4, or even 6 StormBlasters situated around the tank. We have a defined methodology for sizing in the correct StormBlaster systems and the correct number of them, and using this methodology we can generally fit a system to clean effectively even very large sort of Olympic swimming pool sized tanks. Tipping buckets, yes, there's a wide range of systems in there, but often for very large tanks they will require some modification and some channels putting in, and for very large tanks it may be particularly challenging to get a tipping bucket big enough with enough liquid in there to actually clean a very large tanks. The StormBlaster system will generally win when it comes to cleaning very large tanks. So that's the comparison of the StormBlaster versus the tipping bucket system in meeting the 6 key challenges of cleaning large stormwater attenuation tanks. We believe the StormBlaster system is a vastly superior system, especially if you're retrofitting it into existing tanks. It'll clean tanks with less water, with less retrofitting problems, and will often be more suitable for very large tanks. As I said, we've got 130 or so of these StormBlaster systems installed around the UK, France and Ireland. So if you're having some challenges in cleaning stormwater attenuation tanks, please give us a call. We'll be happy to talk through the tried and tested methodology that we use with our StormBlaster system and design an effective tank cleaning system for you.